Welcome back, you filthy exiles. And yeah, on the eve of the announcement for 3.26 for Path of Exile 1, we had a big, like, you could call it big announcement for Path of Exile 2 for 0.2.1. Surprisingly, with some really cool uniques that are coming into the game. So basically, pardon me, just talking through this. In a recent patch, we have had the goal to make the experience of item drops a lot more satisfying, and this was the last patch that they did, which I agree it definitely made the game a lot better, though the end game is still a little bit lacking. But an area that we didn't address yet is finding chase uniques. 100% agree. It's time to change that. In point 2.1, we are significantly changing the way that uniques drop and adding some great chase uniques as well. My understanding is they're also buffing up a lot of the old uniques too. So the drop changes themselves. When we design uniques, we classify them into different rarities. They are called common, uncommon, rare, and mythic. Mythic uniques are like Headhunter, Molnir, and Astramantis. Arguably, Molnir is not that good, but okay. Mythic uniques are intended to be chase, pardon me, but they were way too rare. 100% agree. Things like the Deepest Tower and whatever, it's just frustrating to farm. You just got to keep absolutely hammering it with no real chance inside of getting it easily, even though it has dropped in price. The first problem is that they balance the relative number of rare and mythic uniques the same as in PoE 1, but in PoE 1 you get way more uniques. This is true. The second problem is that in PoE 2, when you roll for uniques, the game first rolls what item class the unique will come from. This means that things like amulets, rings, and rings were significantly less common than other types of uniques. And this is why Astramantis, yeah, and they basically say Astramantis was worth a astronomical amount. Mainly because it was just like unachievable. When things are that rare, they effectively don't exist for most players. This is very true. There are some cool uniques to find, but you are not going to find them. Yep. And some of these uniques, in many cases like Astramantis, are actually build enabling uniques as well, which means you can't play certain builds in the game, which is a detriment to the overall game as a whole. The first change they made is to bring this in line was to remove the item class from the equation, so just rolls like for a random item now. Astramantis is now the same rarity as a weapon like Molnir. The second change was to make it so common uniques get less common as more rarity is added to maps, meaning that there is more chance for uncommon, rare, and mythic uniques. And the last change was to just massively buff the number of mythic uniques that drop. So basically, it's just like as you play harder content, the better the possibility of getting a better drop is going to be, which makes sense. By the time you get to T15, you should be getting more consistent, really good drops. But like in my case, I rarely ever see a good drop come from doing T15 maps, and I've played hundreds of hours this patch. So yeah, it just isn't very satisfying. These changes together should significantly improve the feeling that a good unique could be around any corner. Yep, we all want to chase uniques. I really want them to go back to the idea of having like a specific boss in maps that you would target after and then get unique drops. They promised that, but they haven't really delivered that outside of like pinnacle encounters. Um, we've also improved the power of a few uniques that were classified as mythic, but we're not really holding up to the mythic standards. You will have to wait for the patch to find out what those are, but in the meantime, here are a couple of examples of new mythic uniques which are being added in 0.2.1. Bearing in mind they're adding uniques, so this is going to be pretty cool. And in fact, some of the uniques they're adding are really, really well designed, and one from PoE 1, which I'll show a video of a build that uses it, and I'll reference the creator. But yeah, so anyway, we've got the Lioneye glare, which arguably has been in the game, well, it was in Path of Exile 1. Basically, how this item works is you get increased speed, dex, but 2 plus meters, plus 2 meters to dodge roll. Instance if you haven't dodge rolled recently, so that would be within like the last 5 to 10 seconds. -1 meter if you've dodge rolled recently. Barrageable attacks with this bow now repeat +1 times if no enemies are in your presence. So basically the idea behind this is to off screen. Now, this could be cool, not 100% sure about that. Definitely really good for accuracy stacking because you get up to 500 accuracy, which is pretty damn good. The base DPS on this can probably be buffed to like 300 to just under 400, which arguably is pretty weak for a bow. Like, you can get way better rare bows. I just don't think that this will still be a chase bow unless this is a significantly good mechanic. And so basically things like the Deepest Tower, thinking upon this, you would actually want to run Deepest Tower in this because of the presence stat. So basically, you want to reduce presence as much as possible. So Deepest Tower is honestly going to be one of the best items to run with this, which is going to give you tons of damage. If anything, this is the perfect bow for a warrior. Just saying, probably going to do that. Thinking on it now, in fact, 100% definitely going to do that. Anyway, let's have a look at it.
This unique bow will be added in 021, alongside many other unique items. When wielded, you gain some of the power of the masterful archer, General Marcius Lioneye himself. As long as you're not too close to your enemies, all barrageable attacks with this bow will be repeated. To help you keep your distance, the bow also increases how far you can dodge roll. However, as Lioneye eventually learned the hard way, you must be careful not to commit too deep into combat, as subsequent rolls will be shorter. This is a powerful weapon, and with enough savvy, you may just live longer than the Eternal General himself.
Yeah, definitely a warrior style build, and we could probably abuse fire, Deepest Tower, and blow up whole screens with trample toes. Just saying, we might do that build. If you want to see me make that build, let me know below. I'm going to do that build regardless at some stage. But yeah, if you want to see what that looks like, let's make it. All right, so that's basically the first item, which is a repeat item from Path of Exile 1. So it's been ported over. How it used to work, it used to use, I think, Far Shot, and that's not in the game currently, from my understanding, at least on the skill tree. So yeah, this item is probably going to be a pretty good item, especially if you're doing Deepest Tower setups. You could do that on like any like Deadeye build and stuff like that, so it's pretty cool. All right, second one, the Last Lament. I watched this today when I was at work in my break, and yeah, this looks really cool. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Today, we've got a unique item showcase for The Last Lament, a brand new crossbow being added to this tragic tale.
Just get it past the lore.
The first, a chance to reload bolts on kill, represents the crossbow's ability to capture the souls of slain enemies and use them as ammunition. Secondly, the crossbow has infinite ammo, as long as your soul...
So just having a look at this too, right? So number one, infinite ammo is really cool. Reduced reload speed, but if you're reloading on kill, which looks like it's like 19% as one of the potential rolls, it probably goes up to 25%. That's pretty cool, but it does cost life.
...is resilient enough by feeding life into the crossbow. But be careful not to feed it all, as you too might get trapped in it forever. Thirdly, and what makes this crossbow truly shine, is its granted skill, Compose Requiem. Harness the power of the entwined souls within to unleash the fury of Kalisa and Adamantia themselves by weaponizing their torment and laying waste to all enemies in sight. You'll notice as using the skill you get to hear the composition of Adamantia and the voice of Kalisa herself echoing for every bolt you fire.
I actually think that's a pretty cool item, and I like the fact that, like, yeah, it has like a really unique like audible effect. In fact, there's a fair few audible effects that exist in the game right now, which I find really cool. Like in Act 3, when you're looking for like the where the next area is, if you listen, you can actually hear the speech and all the rest of it, and that points you in the direction. Now, this particular item, like, I want to see the damage scaling stats off Requiem, because I think potentially this could be a really good skill. Like at face value, looks like it could be a good skill, but I also don't really trust like what they're showing us, because they don't really give us the difficulty level. So it could be good or bad. But yeah, anyway, this looks really cool. I've definitely played crossbows, and I do like crossbows these days, so this is pretty cool. All right, so the next one, which I really like the most, is the Whispering Ice. The reason why I like this is because of how cool this could look. Let me pull up a video and show you what this skill actually does. By the way, it gives you a skill called Blizzard, or sorry, Icestorm, and yeah, it's pretty baller. Okay, so this is actually Kelvin PoE's channel, right? So I'll put a link in the description below. This guy, every league plays Icestorm. It is wild. Anyway, we found his channel a little while ago in our Discord for the Filthy Exiles, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. He's been playing for a very long time. We're all whispering ice every single league. Anyway, I'll put a link in the description below, but let's have a look and see what this actually looks like so you guys can see what whispering ice actually does. So it's a pretty cool build. Anyway, so I'll link his channel in the description and you can check out all these different Ice Storm videos. Anyway, so basically that's what we're getting. It also gives you Ice of or Heart of Ice, which chills enemies in your presence as though dealing 332 to 498 cold damage, and then this can be scaled up as well, apparently based on quality. You can't, I think this is based on the weapon quality as well. So this could be really cool in Path of Exile too. Especially with gem level scaling. Big advantage here is it has a +4 to all cold spell skill stats, which is actually not too bad for what it is. The only big issue here is, and the other thing here is 4% increased spell damage per 10 intelligence. So if you're doing int stacking, which is probably going to be preferable, then this is going to actually be a really, really cool weapon. Also inflicts cold exposure on hit, lowering total cold resistance by 28. I feel like this may end up being a totally busted build. I definitely want to try and build this. I actually feel like you could do this on the Titan really powerfully because of the Ascendancy node that increases the ferocity of your nodes throughout the tree. So you could do a lot. Well, then again, in stacking is not really going to be that good. Anyway, so actually Gemling Legionnaire is probably going to work really well with this, to be honest with you, because of attribute stacking is going to increase your damage pretty significantly. And with Astramentus coming down, this is actually going to be a really good item. So I'm actually really, really cool. I'm really excited to see this make its way back into the game. And then we've also got Cadiro's Gambit. And basically each arrow fired is a crescendo, splintering, reversing, diamond, covetous, and blunt arrow, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how this works. This will probably be quite build enabling. I feel like a number of these uniques are actually like very unique, like they have drastic effects or they're adding skills to the game. I think that's actually a really good direction for Path of Exile too. But yeah, anyway, so a lot of really cool new chase uniques coming into the game. Definitely most excited for Lioneye's Glare and Whispering Ice at this stage because I feel like these are going to be friggin' awesome. Anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to like and sub to the channel. And I'm going to have another community build listing out tonight. I'm going to work on that. We're not going to be on live stream because we're going to be up at like 5 a.m. doing the league announcement. Or, you know, watching the league announcements, having a bit of a watch party with that. So if you want to join, don't forget to follow the Twitch link, and I'll be streaming on YouTube and Twitch at the same time for that one. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time and have a good one.